Welcome, everybody. This is the Tantra into Zouk Q&A. What we're going to be doing, we're going to first explain briefly about how Tantra into Zouk got started, and then Jolien is going to share her, I think it's quite a beautiful story, how she went from having some resistance to the concept to actually stepping in at some point. And then after that, actually, we found that there was so much reference with what she does and what she stands for that she also ended up in the team. And that's why I invited her here. So thank you for joining, Jolien, and making time for that. So Tantra into Zouk started because I was at a Tantra retreat, and we were talking about trance states and how to be able to be in deeper levels of consciousness without the use of any substances. And I had just done a, oh, this is going to be a crazy story. I had just done a meditation where I had moved my consciousness into the consciousness of a bird. And I could literally feel that I was pushing it out, its consciousness out. It was quite crazy. I was like, whoa, that's a bit too much. So, but the whole point of it was actually how can you move it deeper into trance states just on your own, with your own body and just through all these different practices. And I've been into hypnosis and NLP for a long time. And hypnosis and NLP is basically a very effective way of bringing people into a trance state. And for me, that all came together. And then because I also noticed that when I would do certain moves or I get into a certain vibe with my follows, that we would get into this trance state, and it was almost like time stands still. And we later, if you look at it from a more technical perspective, that's really the state of flow. And many of us dancers, we're willing to travel half the globe for just 3 minutes of that really deep state of flow. I don't know if anybody recognizes that as a dancer, but that makes the whole weekend worthwhile. And so in the combination of Tantra and hypnosis and Zouk, I found, and basically meditation as well, I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is something that we can actually grasp. This is actually something that we can learn to do. And I started to experiment that. Like, can I just basically by will bring myself into this flow state or into this trance state? And I started developing all different techniques. And then at some point I was like, wow, this is so awesome. So basically I then invited, I think 20 people of my dance community there, and said like, hey guys, I have something really cool, and I want to try this out with and on you as well. And yeah, that was a big hit actually. And then we progressed into doing it longer and longer, and ultimately we ended up doing doing a whole 4-day retreat where basically what we do, our main focus is how to enhance the state of flow. And some people ask, what does that have to do with Tantra? I believe that this state of flow is actually where we naturally come from. So what Tantra does and helps us with is to remove all the blockages that are preventing us to be in this state of flow. Now, Zouk is an amazing tool to be able to create flow basically with somebody you haven't met before, like 10 minutes ago. And we've all had this experience, I think, that you just come onto the dance floor, somebody asks you, or you ask somebody, and then just magic starts to happen. And for me, that's the magic of Zouk, actually. And then using these Tantra techniques in this makes it more attainable and more accessible and less, I mean, there's something to say about the magic of the moment, of course, but it's also nice if you can create that magic of the moment, if you can take more ownership of that. And for me personally, and a lot of people who've done our retreats, they find like, oh, I can connect much easier, because connection is a gateway into trance, is a gateway into flow, in my opinion. And basically that's what we've built the whole workshop around. Now, one thing that's very important, when people go into flow, that is a very beautiful state, but it's also a vulnerable state. So what's very important is that, and what we spend a lot of time and attention on, is for people to be able to voice what is going on in them. What does that mean? In most Latin dances, as a follow, you basically just have to follow whatever the lead gives you. And if you don't like it, you're waiting for the end of the song, and then you hope it's over very quickly. Anybody familiar with that? We don't think that is honoring the body. So we have a lot of practices where we basically empower the follower to be able to express whatever is going on in the dance, either the follower in a female body or in a male body, doesn't really matter. And also we teach the leaders to be much more open and receptive for direct feedback. Because once that space starts to grow, and when two people can be 100% brutally honest with each other, the magic starts to automatically unfold. But that's a little bit counter what the current Latin dance etiquettes are. So we help people to step into that. And what I really like about Tantra into Zouk, everything that we teach in order to enhance your dancing and your state of your capacity to be in flow and to acquire flow, actually also helps you in relating, helps you in work, and helps you actually in sexuality. Because how you express yourself in dancing is often very much related to other topics in life, and specifically in how you how you relate to your partner. And the beauty of dance, or Zouk specifically, and what we do in Tantra into Zouk, that it's actually a little microcosmos where we can really practice these new skills and practice these new ways of relating in a dance. And then once you learn it in a dance, you can actually also take it home with you and use it for whatever purpose fits you best. So that would be the short summary. Do you have anything to add on that, Jolien, what Tantra into Zouk is about? Or did I forget something?
No, I think you can make it more specific, but yeah, it also triggers already some words that you use that were in the beginning the source of my resistance. Why I thought, okay, but Tantra into Zouk, I don't want to go there. So I could also just go on with my story that if I would hear this,
Good segue.
yeah, if I would hear this story like 10 years ago, I was really focused on technical dancing. Like I was teaching Zouk, I was performing, I was very active in the Zouk scene as a professional dancer. So to me, dancing was really about learning the techniques, learning the skills. But I also noticed that it took away a lot of my joy of dancing. Because it was I was a lot thinking about how to move, how to perform the figures, how to make it look good, and less about how it felt. And to me, that was the thing I was missing in my dance. And I actually was looking for it in workshops about connection. I saw Anderson and Brenda, and I thought, oh, this is the way I want to be able to feel the dance instead of just perform the techniques. So I did workshops with them, not knowing that what they actually were doing was also Tantra. And then I heard about the Tantra into Zouk, and I thought, okay, but this word Tantra, and also explaining that there's a link to sexuality, it felt like, okay, but I don't want to go there in dancing. If I go to a dance party, I don't want to be. I also had sexual harassments on the dance floor, so I felt like if I would go to an event where you are going to practice things that are going to that direction, then I will be having more bad experiences in this. I want the dancing to be dancing. And to me, it was the most important thing was to have the safe container of dancing and not people trying to use dance to get into my space, trying to get more close to me than I would want them to come. So to me, I felt like, okay, but if I'm going to do Tantra into Zouk, then people will do that all the time. So no, I don't want to go there. But in the end, I'm also a psychologist. So I was also curious about how can I study the art of connection, and how can we use specific exercises of connecting and use it in dancing, and also for me to use it in teaching the dance. How can I explain what connection is about? How can I understand what this magical feeling in dancing is? And in the beginning, the magic, I felt like, okay, this is because I'm so attracted to that person, or that dance teacher can create this magic with all the people who he's dancing with. But then in the end, I felt it's also something within me that needs to change, to be open to connect to the other person. And to me, the word safety was the most important thing. To feel safe in my own body, to feel safe that someone would not hurt me physically, or if someone would not cross my boundaries. That can be in a lot of different ways, but also sexually. That I would feel confident that I would speak up, or that I would take care of myself. But I also noticed that how important it is that the other person takes care of me, so I could really go into that vulnerable state, to surrender to the dance, to surrender to my partner. And then I could go into flow. Then I
Oh. You guys still here?
where I was, then I could just, yeah. Okay. So I was, I was looking for ways of studying this magic and studying this art of connection. And I also felt like, okay, I can only have a real opinion about Tantra into Zouk if I'm just following the course and see what it is about. So in the end, I ended up going to the event, and I felt like both of my initial ideas were true. Most of the exercises were way more about your own creating your own safety, about creating a specific state yourself. So it's not about the other person. It's really about your own process. So that was to me, a big game changer, where I felt like, okay, this is something I could use in my work as well. I could use in my personal development as well, to be more connected to my body, to feel what my body wants. How does my body want to move? How do I want to connect? What do I need to feel safe? So a lot of things that I learned also in doing this workshop, that I could later use in different parts of my life as well. And then also like how exercises can also change your way of dancing, But I also understood how things can be misinterpreted. Like if you are vulnerable and if you are open to connect, then it's hard to understand, like, where is the boundary and when is it still dancing Zouk and when is it just connecting on music and when is it going way further than that, and how do you know where is the limit? So then if you take away the safe container, the communication becomes vital, because if you don't communicate, then the other person can just fill in what they want or what they think is the way to connect, or is the way to get you into a certain state. And you can of course use words, but there's also a lot of ways of communicating through your body. And to me, it really helped to practice this. And that's what Roger meant with we're trying to create a safe container where you can also practice on how I can feel into what feels right and what feels wrong. How can I communicate what feels right and what feels wrong? To have this space where you can just practice these things and know that someone is not crossing your boundary in a violent way, because the other person also knows that you are practicing and you practice together. So to me, those are the I think the most valuable things that that helped me in my own dancing, but also in understanding the essence of Tantra more, that it's about my own process, about how can I not be blocked by shame, by I need to perform, by all these technical details where I need to think about. How can I let that all go and just enjoy what I feel like doing in the moment? And from that moment on, I could feel more joy in my dance. I could forget about what people would think. And then I also got more compliments about, oh, you look like something changed in your dance. You look like you enjoy it so much. So I felt like, okay, by letting go of this idea that I need to perform or I need to look good, people notice me more and they think it looks better, actually. So that was also a part of the magic that I also felt in performing. If I would be focused on the audience, on, okay, the people are looking at me and how am I looking, then I'm looking at myself through their eyes. And if you really want to have, if you really want to take people with you in the journey, what you are experiencing, you need to just focus on what you are experiencing. So I also learned in performing how I could enjoy myself doing a demo or doing a performance and forget about people watching me. And because I did that, I could express a lot more about how I felt inside, and people would like it more to look at me. And I would be able to enjoy a lot more. So to me, that created a lot of changes in my mind as well. Like how can I enjoy myself, and then also inspire other people to do the same thing. What do I enjoy? What can I do to inspire other people also to enjoy their dance more, to enjoy connection, to enjoy whatever they feel like moving. So I had also a lot of good experiences where I went deeper into retreats with Tantra, into doing breath work to focus more on how to connect to my body, into how do I want to actually move, how do I want to express myself. So it became a way bigger thing than just improving my Zouk dancing. And then I could also be part of the team of Tantra into Zouk, where I learned also a lot more about Tantra. And in my current relationship, we practice Tantra together, and it opened a whole new world to me. And of course, that's not the goal of this retreat, but I did feel that it helped me, in a bigger field than just to have a better Zouk dance on the dance floor. It helped me to to be able to be more connected to myself in general. So I'm very grateful for that. And that's why I also like it to be in the team, that I could be helping people in their search for what you are looking for, what you want to experience in dancing, what you want to experience in life, where's your struggle, and how can we help you in that process. So I'm also very grateful that it's not just one workshop of a few hours, but it's really a retreat of a couple of days where you dive deep into this mystery of what you actually want to experience, because we don't know.
No, we don't. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was very excited when Jolien came in because her background of being a professional dancer, being a professional psychologist, and dancing Zouk and having an openness towards Tantra is quite unique. So I was very excited that she was coming to the workshop, actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and one thing I want to add on that is that so a lot of the things that you describe are about safety and stepping into your own power. And ultimately, I think there's a direct line between surrender and that trance state and the level of safety that we feel. It's almost impossible for a person to go into this surrender space, to go into this dance trance, or however you wish to call it, if you're not feeling safe and comfortable, and especially for women, actually. So that's because that's why actually we spend, I think we can, I'm at the risk of being arrogant, but I think it's safe to say that we're the retreat that spends the most time and effort and energy on safety, on boundaries, and on speaking up your truth of the moment. And because we do that, people, and we have certain exercises where there's a potential for you to go into this deep dance trance spaces. And then because the container is formed in the way that we just described, it's always magic that that people just go into all these different altered states of consciousness as they dance. And we have a couple other exercises on that as well. But that always needs to be in balance with the safety element. And that's really what, in my opinion, Tantra is all about. We need to make sure that the space is held, but that also people really feel that they can that they can just express really what is going on inside them. So we don't do etiquettes. We invite people to just be as real as possible, and we create the space around that. And that's also why we have a supporting team for that. So, yeah, sometimes it might be a little bit vague, but yeah, it is so what we try to do, so spirituality is in a sense, it's a vague concept. But what we do our best is, or what we try to also make it very practical. So we have exercises that are super practical and hands-on, and we have others where we really just see let's see what happens. And that for me makes really the juice of Tantra into Zouk. And it's become such a beautiful community now. We have about 300 people who've gone through it. And we often have people checking in if there's other people who've done Tantra into Zouk going to retreats or to festivals, because there's just this little, I'm sorry, I'm just getting a little mushy in the heart, but it's just so beautiful to see that people know, oh, we can speak on the same level with this. And yeah, so, I mean, we can talk for another hour. If you want to, you just throw in a coin and then we'll go. But this is, let's make it a bit more practical and more specific if you have any questions specifically about the things we shared. or if something comes up that gives you resistance, I'd love to hear that actually. Or if you had general questions that you wanted to have, what you came here for, that you thought, okay, I want to know more about this. So, who would like to start?
I would.
Michaela.
I looked at the program, and it's 4 days, and I can't help but thinking it's a little intense for me, because it's a whole day long and every day. So I'm a little bit scared about the intensity of the program, and if I'm able to do everything that's on the program, all the workshops and everything, because I am HSP, high sensitive person, and I'm also still recovering from a burnout. So I have to leverage my level my energy levels, sorry. And so that's what scares me the most, I think, about the whole retreat. So what can I expect? Is it really that intense that I'm imagining, or yeah?
It's hard to say what is intense for you, because some people think the dancing whole day is very intense. If you are highly sensitive, then connecting to other people's energy can be very intense. So the challenge is to find out what do you need to not get rid of all your energy, and to find ways of recharging. And to me, I was in a burnout, and I went to Prague Zouk Marathon. In my burnout, I was just in a burnout for 1 week or 2 weeks, and I came there and I was like, okay, let's see how am I going to manage this. But the getting into that flow state, and in Prague Zouk Marathon, you can dance for hours, without watching the time, and it recharged me a lot, actually. And I felt physically tired, so I went home more early than I would go if I would not be in a burnout. So of course there was also this part where I felt, okay, maybe I need to sleep more, or I need to pull back sooner than the party ends. But I also felt that it recharged me in a way that well, to me, nothing else in my life could give me, or could help me recharge. But that's my experience. And I think in the search for what do I need to take care of myself, that's part of the whole thing about the program. The program invites you to tune in to how am I feeling, what do I need, and also to express your boundaries, to maybe step out of the workshop for a while and go back in, or maybe I want to work with this person but not with this person. Or adapt a little bit to what feels right for you. So I think, to me, it would feel like it's the ideal retreat to learn how to take care of yourself when you're highly sensitive, or when you're in a burnout.
Perfect answer, I think. Yeah, it takes away my concerns, and I do hope that if I am able to come to the retreat, that I have the same experience, that it would recharge me and learn to better express my boundaries, also to myself, because a lot of time I cross them because I'm having so much fun. It's difficult for me to say, okay, I'm out, I'm going to bed, So, yeah, but thank you.
And sometimes it's also when you are highly sensitive, even if you're not in a burnout, it's also energy-wise, like how do I keep my own energy with me and not lose it because I feel like, oh, someone is taking me to this different level of consciousness, and then I lose myself. So how to stay connected to yourself, to your own energy, and how you not cross your boundary in that. And that's also this vague concept, like how do I stay in my own energy? How do I
yeah, I think it's a good practice to stay grounded. It's a thing I'm already doing. So yeah, I think that's the thing for me.
Yeah, and from a practical perspective, what's nice about a retreat, it's a retreat center, and the sleeping rooms are like 10, 20 minutes, sorry, 10, 20 meters walking. So if you feel like, oh, I want to retreat, then you literally take the time, you say, okay, I'm stepping this one out, take a nap, whatever feels right for you, or you go take a walk in the forest, you know, it's a small forest, by the way. But so, and yeah, this comes to what Jolien says, I 100% agree with. And the practical implications are that we will never push anybody to step in. Yeah, we always ask, feel if this is right for you in this moment. And if it's right, you're welcome. And if it's not right, you're also welcome to step out, because that's the whole essence of the Tantra that we work with. It's a bit weird to say like, okay, we're going to work on boundaries, but you need to do it. Yeah, that's that would be, that's quite the paradox, huh? So, yeah, so that will be the thing. And also,
I think that was my biggest,
yeah,
I wanted to say that I think that was one of my biggest lessons in my first Tantra Zouk event, that I needed to step out, and in my head that was not possible. You know, I cannot step out. I need to do the exercise because this is the exercise. I want to learn. I want to experience everything. So I cannot stop the exercise. I will hurt my partner because then he does not have a partner to work with. You know, so I could not step out, and in the end I had to, because I was emotional and I felt like, okay, I cannot just go on. But I guess for me that was the biggest lesson. You know, how to say, okay, no, maybe this exercise I cannot do, or not with you, not in this moment right now.
Not with everybody.
And to be able to express that it was not the exercise, but it was for me the biggest lesson I needed to learn in that moment. So yeah, there's a space.
And practically, again, it's nice that I can switch to practical stuff too. Thank you. So if you decide to join, just let me know. Put in the comments, I would like a quiet room. And when you do the registration at the spot, then we will give you a space that is a bit further away from the dance floor, so that you have like your own more private space. You might be sharing a room, but if everybody's doing the exercise, then you can just go to the space. And then, you know, actually, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but what I've learned from some empaths is the sensory deprivation trick. So sometimes, because there's so much coming in, you get overwhelmed. And then if you put on a blindfold and you put in some earplugs and you just take all the sensory data away, you find that you can very quickly recover, or just take a nap for 1 or 2 hours or whatever. I don't know if you ever tried that or heard about it, but I know quite some people who've been quite successful with managing their highly sensitive nature.
Yeah, I sleep with with earplugs, and if it's too light, I have a mask. But that was my other concern about the sharing of rooms, because I'm so highly sensitive. I worry about sharing my room with someone who is snoring loud, or I don't know, not iffy. I feel iffy about it. I don't want to share a room, actually, because I love my privacy, and that I'm able to take a step back and be alone. That's really important to me. So
cool. So we have three options. Sorry?
Same here.
Okay. So we have 3 room options. We have the dorm room, we have a double room, and we have a private room. They are all differently priced, of course, because there's limited amount of space. And we might be one of the very few retreats that actually have a question in the questionnaire or in the registration form: do you snore? Because we're going to put all the snorers together, and I'm definitely not going to have a snorer in the in the dorm room. So if you're watching this and you're snoring, we still love you, but we don't want to have like one person keeping 4 or 5 people awake. So we make a special arrangement for that, because we've had that in the past, and that was just very unpleasant. And then people, when you can't sleep properly, you can't enjoy the retreat. You put a lot of time, you put some money in there, and all the travel to get there, all that stuff. So we like to give you the best experience. And if we can help that, and if we can be the one who asks that uncomfortable question, I mean, snorers are very welcome. It's just that we put them in we make sure that we put them in a space where they don't disturb other people. And the location is set up in such a way that you have quite some different areas of where the sleeping spaces are. So so that. I hope that also answers the practical part of that. Or yeah. And in the registration, you can just opt for whatever room you want. I do need to say that it is based on how many free space we have. If we have a lot of people, then we cannot put everybody together. But we do work with first come, first serve. So
another practical thing is that.
Michaela, I think you said something, but you were on the mute.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm applying now.
Private room. No, I was also thinking about the schedule, the workshop schedule. So if we room.
Sorry.
So we also try to manage the energy level of the whole retreat in that way. No? You still hear me?
Could you repeat that, please? You were away.
Yeah. Okay, Jolien is frozen for a moment. Actually, it's funny, when we used to do the retreats in Amsterdam, it would always be 2.5 days, and we actually found that it's just too short to allow a proper integration, and that we can take some more time. So it used to be a 1-day workshop, then it turned into 2.5, and now it's actually a proper 4. Also to be able to have a nice landing and everything. It just fits much better. We started to experiment with that 2 years ago, and it just, we're not changing it anymore. I understand that people need to take an extra day off and all that, but after the retreat, everybody's happy that we did it like that way. So that's good, and especially people who repeat it, because we often have people who come again. They say, oh, it's much nicer this way. So it allows us to take things slowly and to integrate, and yeah. Do you feel complete on that question, Michaela?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Thank you for the question. Anybody else?
It was really interesting to hear what Jolien talked about her story. I think she answered to many of my concerns as well. I was thinking, like, does Tantra into Zouk mean that it's like breaking the rules of Zouk, or like breaking the ways we do it, like, and then it would be needed to like speak out loud the boundaries, or like how to, like, how do I explain, like how to make sure that there is actually consent to do what you're doing, and like how are you present in the moment and touching another person, or like how to show your boundaries. But I think it's a bit more clear for me now. Not 100%, but a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah. The thing that triggers me is that people crossing boundaries, it happens a lot on the dance floor. And I thought about that this workshop enhances that, But when I went to this workshop, then I could understand way better that it happens a lot for people who are not conscious about this concept, who are not even thinking about, oh, I'm crossing a boundary, or what is dancing and what is connection. It is actually most people who feel like dancing is a nice way to connect to a female body, and then enjoy themselves with touching your body while dancing with you. But then in the energy wise, you feel like, what's going on? This guy's grabbing me. But is he really grabbing me? Because it feels weird. I feel odd. I feel like violated. But then is he really crossing a boundary? Is he crossing the rules? Or is this part of Zouk where I just need to adapt and so then I started thinking about what's happening here, because I don't feel right. But is he like crossing the line? Where is the line actually? When is it dancing and when is it crossing a boundary? And then when I was teaching, of course, you teach how you have your frame and how you touch the other person. And Zouk is a very close and intimate dance. So it's part of the dance that you are pretty intimate and closely connected. But when it feels off, then it's still something you need to take care of yourself. So to me, this retreat helped me realize also, why do I feel safe in a person's arms, and in another person's arms I don't feel safe, or it feels off, or it feels like he's violating me, while they actually do physically, they do the same thing. So it's also part of what energy, what intention does someone have, and that you can feel also. Only now it's very unclear how to speak up about something that is so vague. So yeah, it helped me to realize a lot more about what's actually happening. And if I'm not really understanding what's happening, okay, then it's just not the right person for me to dance with. And I started also practicing on the dance floor with really speaking up. Like, I remember that I was dancing with this guy, and he did a lot of hair movements, and I felt like, okay, it's too rough the way he was leading me. So I asked him, like, can you please not do hair movements with me right now? But he said, but yeah, you're able to do it, so I just want to dance with you. It's part of Zouk. I said, okay, but I don't feel good in the moment, so can you just adapt your dancing and not do the hair movements? But then he was really, but what do I do wrong? Because I really want to do the movements. And then he kept on pushing me to do something. I expressed, I don't want you to do this with my body. And then I felt like, okay, maybe he's not really, understanding what I'm saying here. So I understood. I just said in the middle of the dance, okay, maybe the only way of expressing it is just stop dancing with you. I don't want this. And then, of course, it's a situation you want to avoid, because it was for him. It was also like this guy who I broke his ego. I stopped the dance and I walked away. But then I also felt like, okay, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to express what I want, and you don't listen at all. You just hear what I felt like he wanted to know what can I improve to do what I want to do, because I'm the leader. I want to do this move. So sometimes the best thing that you can do is to understand what's going on inside of me and how can I protect myself.
Yeah.
It's always about.
It's better to break an ego than your own body. And especially in Zouk, where we work with the head movement, the neck is one of the most fragile parts of the human body. From our perspective, every follower has always the right to stop something, because it's your body. I mean, as a leader, there's often not so much going on. Yeah, you could have somebody dropping into a cambrai. I hear stories on that as well. But for women, it's much more, there are much more, potentials where the body is not being respected. And that's where we start with, to empower dancers to really respect and honor where they are at, even if it means totally stepping out of the etiquette. Yeah, it hurts somebody's ego, but yeah, I mean, a neck injury takes several months to heal. So I don't think the ego is of more importance than the actual person. And this is a huge topic, especially for women. This is a topic that is in dancing, but it's also in your relating. It's all, and it's not a sexual workshop, but in the sexuality, obviously the same issue comes into play as well. And what we really like about Tantra and Zouk, once you're able to stand for yourself to the best of your abilities in the dance, then it has to also overflow to other areas of life. But the dancing is relatively a relatively how do you call that? It's a very safe space compared to all the other spaces of intimacy. So if you can practice it with your clothes on in just a dance setting, then it's much more likely that that you can also stand for that in other settings. And from the other way around, for the masculine principle, so Tantra is the path of the feminine. And for the masculine energy, which is also the leading energy, regardless of what body gender you're in, but for that leader energy, it is of vital importance to be able to take in feedback and to not a lot of people have this thing that if you tell them something about the dance, they feel that you're attacking them personal. No, you're not. It's just about how you touch a certain way or how you execute the move. Doesn't say anything about you as a person. But and what I really like for our leaders is that they really learn how to separate these two things. And then yeah, there's just such a beautiful space that then starts to open up. And also, I think it's amazing, Jolien, that you can just actually say like, okay, I'm stopping the dance. That's for me, that's the ultimate female empowerment. To risk the aggression, to risk the rejection, to risk hurting somebody's ego and saying, yeah, oh, fuck all that. It's my body. And that's more value to me than all those things that are ultimately of lesser value, but we often put them on a higher value.
Yeah, but it also helped me understand why people cross boundaries while not really doing it on purpose, because most people they learn dancing by also imitating. So you see a teacher, and he's a great dancer, and he's doing all these tricks, and he's using so much force, and he's doing acrobatics and whatever, or he's being very intimate with his partner. And then people see it and they see that the follow really enjoys, and then they start copying what they see. But you cannot copy what you see because it's a feeling you need to have as a follow. You need to feel safe. You need to be able to trust. If someone is lifting me, I can do lifts, but I cannot do it with everyone because I trust my own dance partner, because I trained with him. But if someone I don't know is trying to lift me, then I am panicking. What the fuck are you doing? I don't want you to lift me from the ground. I want to have my feet on the floor. So then it also helps me like, okay, people are just trying to do something they saw someone else doing. So that's how a miscommunication originates. And that's how it's also so important for leaders to understand, like, okay, I need to tune into what is my follow want to do, and how can I build the trust. If I know the technique of lifting or dropping someone to the floor, it's amazing. If you build the trust that someone is able to, well, these are a lot of techniques also with counterbalance, with the things where you don't hold your own weight. if someone is not sure, then you feel that as a follower, and you're not letting go of your own weight into someone else's arms. So you need to know how to build the trust and how to build up the tension and how to also use sometimes actually quite some force in doing certain techniques, but then knowing how to apply it. So it's not all about being soft and mushy in dancing. Sometimes it's about really being strong as a leader and being able to feel that I can drop myself to the floor with this guy because he's holding me. That can also, it's not the same like trance state, but it can also feel like magic if you don't know a person, but without talking, you build the trust in one dance or in two dances, and then after half an hour of dancing, I can do all these amazing tricks with someone. It's a different kind of magic, but it's still amazing to be able to build this connection in a way where you can also surrender and feel like, okay, he can do anything with me. I trust him. But that building the trust and to understand for the leader as well, how do I do this? Instead of just looking at a strong guy and do the same thing. Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah. We have techniques for that too, where we teach the leaders how they can build trust, how they can open the space for open communication. So it's a mix of both, because ultimately it is a dance and it requires two to tango, or two to Zouk actually. So, Jolien.
Jolien, yeah. That was to me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So one question I would have is around, like I just looked it up again and the kind of the schedule. There are like several workshops a day. And are there like always Tantra and always Zouk work, like dance workshops, or do you always mix it? Or like, do you have a rule of thumb with that?
The thing is, we also don't want to give away too much of the program, because there is the element of surprise that is very nice. We actually always ask participants to not speak about the program. It's not a secret, but we'd like to have everybody to have the element of surprise. In general, we work more with the consent and trust-related topics in the beginning of the workshop, and we move more into the esoteric stuff later on in the workshop. Because we first, so a little side note, but I'm a certified Wheel of Consent teacher. I don't know if you know the modality of Wheel of Consent from Betty Martin. It's really amazing. And doing non-Zouk consent workshops, I really find that if you want to bring a group together, and if you want to have a group where everything is welcome, working on consent first is just very important. And also, yeah, to be able to have people express themselves. So that will be the main focus in the beginning. And then we move more into how we can have the more tantric aspects in the dance, and how we can use those aspects to go into these trance states quicker and deeper. And we have a couple of really specific exercises that are totally yeah, meant for going into dance trance. Actually, we have those almost every day. Yeah, they're just of a different nature and a different quality.
Awesome. Thank you. And one question that just came to me is, so in Zouk, we often dance with the same gender, while in Tantra and like many traditional schools, there's a lot around the polarities. Do you have a regulation around gender in the workshops, or do you have it open? How many female and how many male bodies participate?
It's basically open. We try to even out the leaders and the followers. it's good if you sign up that you let me know what role you would prefer. It's not because it's a, yeah, so we want everybody who signs up to have a minimum level of intermediate in whatever role they choose. So if you're a follower and you feel like, oh, I want to try out leading, then this is not a good workshop to go to. Then it's probably better to first do some festivals or some workshop weekends or something where you practice your leading. But if you're intermediate or higher at both, yeah, you can switch. It is a little bit that we are, of course, we usually are somewhere between 20 and 30 people. So we try to always even it out if possible. But if you feel like I would like to be switching, then it's good that you let me know up front, because we try to balance the genders out. It's always one more or one less on something, but that's also why we have assistants. But in general, we are completely gender neutral. If you are in a female body and you want to lead, or you're in a male body and you want to follow, all good. I think actually it's very healthy. One thing I really like about the Brazilian teachers is that they all know how to lead and follow. And I think that is very important, to be able to have both role, to be able to have the traditional feminine and the traditional masculine energy both incorporated in the body. I think every follow should learn how to lead, and I think every lead should learn how to follow. But it's quite some work. But it's something I really admire in the Brazilians most of them have quite some classical teaching background. And they really emphasize it there, which I think is great.
Yeah, I think some exercises we actively change roles to really experience the other side. And to me, it was also really helpful. You say that it's also working with polarities, to also change and to understand, like, okay, how is it to lead? How is it to take control? How is it to express what I want or to give direction, instead of just follow and wait for the lead to give me information. And it was really unnatural to me in the beginning, but it really also helped me a lot, in, okay, how do I express what I want?
Yeah.
To practice this quality in myself also through dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, I could also become a better follow because I could express what I want, being followed, even when I'm following, instead of just being like this passive follow that does not express anything.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Does that answer all your questions?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that is still simmering or that wants to be expressed?
I might have a question. In some ways of practicing Tantra, there is this level of spirituality is like close to some type of like religiousness, maybe. So I would like to hear, like, how is your take on that sense? Like, how do you see spirituality in Tantra?
That's quite an interesting question. Thank you. So, my experience and understanding of Tantra is that it's very inclusive. So you can be a Christian and practicing Tantra. You can be a Hindu or a Buddhist or or practicing Islam and also practice Tantra. Because Tantra, in the end, Tantra is relatively simple. It's a science. It's an ancient tradition that is aimed at helping people come to their own essence. Now, that's also where there's a reason why Tantra is controversial and why it's not very mainstream. Because there are certain things, in my opinion, in religion and in society that are actually not so much aimed at coming to your essence. And that's where there's a little bit of, or where things, where things differ, and where I think Tantra has a different opinion than the traditional. So Tantra doesn't, it's not a person, but how I understand how Tantra looks at certain things are very different than what religion of society does. It's just that Tantra doesn't say you can't do that. It just says, okay, doing this or that has that consequence. And the question is always, does that bring you closer to yourself or further away? And even if it's bringing you further away, that's fine. But then Tantra says, then it's probably best to accept that, because you choose it consciously or unconsciously. So, it's actually what I find utterly fascinating, because you can go very deep into those topics, actually. So what we do in Tantra, into Zouk, is that we touch on those things, but we kind of plant seeds for people. And in certain things we go deeper, in others we let it be, because ultimately the aim of the workshop is to help people enhance their dance experience through tantric techniques and tantric principles. Having said that, though, we do find that actually for a lot of people, they say, oh yeah, Tantra and Zouk is really where I started my spiritual journey, because it was very accessible with Zouk for me. And then we do plant seeds. You can't do Tantra without planting seeds, for having a little bit of a different perspective on things, and questioning if you feel that you are living from your essence and living your full potential. So it's a bit vague maybe, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, to me, it's not about religion. Actually, it's more about how do I, the essence of understanding what's happening inside of you and your body, and make that the most important thing, and that in religion, the essence of many religions is also to become more loving, or to have this loving energy around you and spread that in the world. To me, that's the essence of almost all religions. Only then there's also the framework and a lot of rules, and that's also how I experienced in the dance, the framework and all the rules, where it can also become a limitation of my own experience, where in Tantra you try to let go of the rules and to really feel what is the essence, and how can I set my own rules, and how can I use the connection to myself to understand what I need to have a good experience. So that's a little add to your.
Yeah, what I really love about Tantra is that it's the practice of fully honoring and respecting the body basically in every form. And I also think that is a basic principle that is different than many other spiritual practices. And I don't want to make it better or worse. I think, let me just put it like, I think the founders of all religions were enlightened. And what happened afterwards is often with great intention, but doesn't always work out as the founders and the enlightened masters who started it had intended it. I think this is the most soft, politically correct the way I can put it. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ was for sure an enlightened master. So was Buddha, probably Muhammad as well, and a couple of others as well. So.
But in the workshop, it's like you can take as much spiritual content out of it as you want. There's also people joining who just want to enhance their dancing, and that's also fine. You know, it's not that we preach about how you should practice Tantra in your life. It's about showing people how we experience Tantra and how it enhanced our lives and how we can use it in the dance to enhance the experience of dancing. And the rest is just an inspiration where you can take away from what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, our subtitle, I don't use it so much anymore, but what we feel Tantra the Zouk stands for, and Tantra in general, is really expansion through awareness. And whatever you do with that, that's all up to you. But how I see Tantra is that it's really the science of enhancing awareness in people and people's life. And in dance, there's an amazing opportunity to do, because it's such a beautiful thing. If you dance on a regular party and you dance with 10 or 20 different people, that is such a magical thing, actually. If you talk to your friends about that, how often do you go to the bar and have like 20 or 10 interactions with somebody on that deep level? That is really, for me, the beauty of partner dancing. And then, yeah, how can you add more awareness to that? How can you use that for your personal growth, or also just being utterly in flow and really deeply enjoying the moment? That's where the magic is, in my opinion. And then lastly, ultimately, the beauty dance is the celebration of life. And that's why, yeah, dancing is so awesome, either on your own or in couple form. So I think it fits very well with every spiritual tradition in that sense, because most spiritual traditions do have all kinds of different forms of dancing. Even without the awareness, I think that any type of dancing is a spiritual practice, because it's a celebration of life, of having a body, of, you know, being more than just working. So, yeah, with that, I think we're coming to the end. What I would like to do as an appreciation for those who have been watching and taking the time. So, of course, we invite you to join one of our retreats. The upcoming one is 4th of July. They're always in Amsterdam. Oh, sorry, it's about an hour and a half away from Amsterdam, but you'll find that. And the next one is in the 3rd of October. And what I will offer you as a gratitude for joining is that you can join in and get like a discount, early bird discount, like 2 before we have now. So now we have, let me have a look. We have the early bird discount expires on the 25th of May. So you can join in for the 27th of May. Oh, sorry, 27th of April. So you get a 20 euro discount. Just what you do if you register, then just say like a webinar discount. Then we'll figure it out. It's just, yeah, it's nice. Also, for those coming from far, we will help out with carpooling and all the practicalities and stuff like that. We can't guarantee that we can find you a spot, but often we can. So we do our best for that, because the retreat center is not so easy to go to by public transport. So we try to match people with those who are coming by car. And most of the time we manage. And if not, we'll find another solution. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or if something else pops up, feel free to send a WhatsApp. I think in the confirmation email, my phone number was in there. So you can send a WhatsApp or something. Or if you want to ask a question to Jolien, her number is not in there. I do not share a women's phone number randomly. But then you can say like, hey, I have a question for Jolien. Can you forward that? And then I'll connect the both of you. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope it was worth your time and your effort. We look forward to seeing you in one of our retreats, or to just seeing you in live or on a dance event or whichever. Because yeah, I mean, the fact you're sitting here probably means that you're on the path of enhancing your awareness, and we are. Yeah, that always makes me happy.
Definitely. And I'm looking forward to the retreat as well. Well, just talking about it for more than an hour.
It gets more and more exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, we're
very
really
nice.
excited about jumping in this round. Yeah, it's so funny. I'm going to share you something behind the screen, but so especially myself and Jasper, every time we have a new group, we then look at each other and we're like, it's the best group we ever have. And we've said that like 5 times in a row. And it's not that a group is better or not. It's just that when people are being real and everybody's just being present, there's just such a magic aura that comes from the collective of the group then, that is just so incredibly yeah, fulfilling. And no group is better than the other because they're just all great. It's just that because we're there in that present moment, then it's like, oh, and because for us it's really, so the way we've set it up, we haven't changed much on the program anymore, because so from a facilitator perspective, you can see like, oh, it's the same, but it's not. It's about when people become fully real and when people go into this dance trance space. That's something that I really learned from Zouk. When you go into dance trance, it never gets boring. When you connect to a person from your essence to another person in their essence, it never gets boring, because it's not something from the mind. It's really something from the body and from the heart. And that is just, yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I felt like sharing that. So,
So let's close it with this final.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you again, and yeah, we see you around.
Yes,
Thank
hope
you
to
so
see you
much.
soon.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Bye.